Yeah, I often wonder what stands, even cameras. Every once in a while I've thought back of like, do I have that camera anymore? And I'm sure we have stuff sitting places that we'll never remember.
I've always think about how many other, like I like to think I'm pretty good at keeping track of all my cameras and stuff. There's other people that probably aren't as good. There's probably people that are better too. But it's a wonder you don't come across cameras that, you see year after year that clearly aren't, belong to anybody.
Yeah.
It's like I would love to find one and check one sometime.
I found one. Remember that property, like before you get into Galleon, that me and you walked?
Mm-hmm.
And he owned that other piece?
Yes.
Like around the corner?
Yeah.
I walked that with Allison, I don't know when, at some point after that,
yeah,
a couple weeks later, and I found a camera on a tree that had fallen over, and it was in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to look around for an SD card or anything.
There's nothing.
Nothing, no.
Think about people die.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. People lose permission, the property sells, they don't make it back out to pull cams. I don't know. I've never stumbled across anything that's obviously abandoned.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell, if it's grown into the tree or what. I don't know.
People also get cameras stolen all the time.
Yeah.
And I've only ever had one, I think. I know people talk about losing a handful a year.
I lost one last year.
Stolen?
On public.
Well, and that's probably part of it because I don't hunt a ton of public, but
yeah.
Yeah. That was even on private, the one that got stolen, that one in Kentucky. But, well, we're rolling. Thank you guys for joining us for this week's episode 16. Do we have any housekeeping items before we get really rolling here?
You're drinking water this week. I am back with another cinnamon bun latte. Housekeeping wise, I don't believe there's much of anything.
No. The cinnamon bun, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
They can't smell it, but it smells incredible.
Yeah. Like grandmother has some cinnamon rolls in the oven.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Today it's very necessary with the caffeination.
Yeah. Low on sleep.
Long night, yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're rocking and rolling about 6 p.m. again.
Yeah. I guess one new thing, that deer that showed up last night was a little bit exciting.
News.
Yeah. First glance, just like they always do, from different angles, some angles I'm like, that thing's a giant, and other angles I'm like,
Yeah. The
realistically,
side profile, he looks heavy on his main beam, and there's just, I don't know how many points it was. 10
I think he's a 10,
okay.
I think.
Yeah, he looked good, but then you gotta factor in the velvet factor.
Yes.
They lose a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking after it's all said and done, maybe high 40s, low 50s type deer.
Yeah.
Which when you first look at it, you're like, oh, that's like a 160, and it just never is.
It takes a lot of antler to be a 160.
Yeah. I hope he hangs around, though. That's exciting. And I really do think the more I looked at it, that other buck is the same deer from last year. That wasn't even a trail cam picture. I don't think we even had a trail camera picture of it, but I filmed that deer before my buck came out, and I think that's the same one. But
okay. Yeah.
Probably 3-year-old.
Did you get multiple pictures of that one, too?
Yeah.
Because in the one picture you sent me, he looked really nice. I don't know if he's as big as...
Side profile, it looks like he has a lot more to go, beam-wise.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is a good thing. But, yeah, he looks all right.
Yep.
We'll see. But this week we figured we got some kind of, would you call it new strategy, or just, I guess, maybe changing it up a little bit because of the results we've been getting, or lack of results we've been getting?
Yeah. Either continuation of stuff we've found to work. I know in my case I'm trying some new stuff. Essentially all around it. I guess it's kind of all new stuff, maybe just building on top of stuff we've seen in the past, and it's certainly becoming seemingly harder and harder to find the deer to chase. That's really all I want is one deer. And when you struggle to find that year after year, you got to find new ways to make things happen.
Yeah, which let's talk about yours first, because if listeners fizzle out, yours are cooler than mine. Before we do that, though, it is interesting just hearing you say that it's becoming harder and harder. I feel like I'm more ate up and driven right now than I've ever been. Do you think that's a product of it being harder? You know what I mean? Because you have to be, kind of?
I would say, yeah, to some degree, 100%. Yeah, I mean, when things become harder for a person that derives some sort of satisfaction out of achieving success within a difficult situation, which I think both our personality types, align with that. Yes,
it's a good argument. I don't know if you're feeling the same way, but it's like a good argument to support that, like, the journey is really like where you get the satisfaction.
For sure.
Like when you look back, that like right now I'm just so ate up with it, and I'm like catching myself like I don't remember feeling the way I feel right now in recent years. Whether it's because of that, maybe like we're working harder or coming up with new strategies and different avenues, or introducing, I think the trad bow has got a little different fire under me this year too, but I like it. I don't know. I feel like reinvigorated.
Right now, the goal seems to be killing the deer. However, in hindsight, looking back at instances when I've been successful in achieving that, those deer on the wall, they mean a lot to me. I love looking at them, whatever, but like I don't look at them and be like, yeah, I did it and now I can relax. It's very much so like, that's behind me, that deer's great, whatever, but it really doesn't matter now. And so that's when I can reflect on kind of the whole journey and be like, that is really what it is all about.
Yep.
It's not killing the deer.
Right. And I always go back to this quote I heard, which we're getting kind of off what we were planning on talking about, but that's fine. I don't remember who said it, but it was something along the lines of, you're only successful the moment you perform a successful act, and that's why you have to like do it again. And it kind of ties in with that of just like the success is kind of like everything, and then when you complete the goal, it's like you're not successful anymore until you do it again.
Yeah. That's like the Ohio State, football team in Columbus, and they took down all of the, national championship stuff in the practice facility indoors because that was last year's team. This year's team has done nothing, and that's kind of how I feel. It's like I've done nothing. Sure, in the past I've won some national championships, killed some big deer, whatever, but it's like this year I've done nothing.
Yeah.
And I like that mentality. It's like on to the next one.
That's why I love listening to the guys that like consistently kill big deer, because like anybody can be the guy that lucks into a 200.
Mm-hmm.
And not that Ohio State winning a national championship was like lucking into a national title, but like doing it repeatedly is it's a different level.
Yeah.
So I love hearing the guys that like continually get it done, because like, I don't know if this is as big anymore, but like when we were growing up, there was always the guy that lucked into a 200 and then he's like selling some product.
Sure.
And as if like, it's because of that. Anyway, I'd rather listen to the guys that consistently get it done. But let's talk about, which one should we talk about first?
Let's go trail cameras,
Makes
I would
sense.
say first. So this year, if you just want to jump right into it, basically my whole thing was, and I know we kind of talked about the cell cams last year and, essentially only having so many of those. So there's a higher input necessary. I mean, it's a big financial investment to run a bunch of cell cams. So this year, reflecting on previous years, I found myself starting in like July, which is right, on schedule with a lot of other people. However, I found that that's too late for me, just being limited on time. Not that everybody isn't in that same boat, but trying to get to as many possible places and having as many cameras out as possible, I had to start early. So that was like my goal back in probably early June. I ordered a pile of just junk. I don't want to say junk, super cheap SD cameras. I think I bought 6 more on top of probably close to 10 that I already had. And I just set out from there to get all those cameras out and deployed, which at this point I pretty much have them, most of them out. I have 4 out in my truck because I have a couple more properties I'm trying to hit here. And I think after that, all of them will be out. The goal there is to have all of them, out by August, and then come right around September 1st, I can start circling back. And my plan then is to have, basically a backpack full of cell cameras, which I guess I have 2 out currently. More so monitoring food plots, not for deer specifically. So every SD card camera that I go in to check, I'll try to check in the field, have a cell cam with me, and at that point, if I see reason to hang a cell cam in there, if there's a deer that's of interest, that SD camera will get swapped.
When do you think you'll make that like loop through?
I would like to do it sometime around the end of August, start circling back around, which again, I have to consider how many properties I need to make it to, how many cameras I need to make it to be able to do that, because it's not like I get to go out every day after work anymore.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be something I factor in, is just, how much, area and places I have to cover.
It is smart keeping all of that stuff in your truck. I've been trying to do the same, just in case sometimes I don't know where my days take me, and it's like, in case you're over that way, makes sense to do it.
That's part of the strategy, is like I loaded up the truck with a couple trophy rocks, some of the 465, and a few other things, and a couple cameras, a lot of batteries, and a backpack.
It's amazing how just like planning something simple like that and just being proactive can save you so much on time and money and effort that you have to put in, like just thinking a little bit ahead.
And it is very minimal input on the front end, as far as just like a little bit of thought, having the stuff ready there with you. Like you said, sometimes you find 30 minutes in a day to be able to go, oh shoot, I'm right next to this property, I could go hit it right now. Having a saw of some kind, assuming you're not on public, to just be able to trim, trees or whatever, to make sure your cameras are set up properly, or cut access or whatever it is. It doesn't take a lot of planning, but the result in time savings and hopefully deer found would be a much greater, I don't know if you want to call it, product of that.
Of course. I think I know the answer to this because I know you, but okay, you make your swipe through around whatever. You said end of August?
Ish.
Yeah, ish. Let's say one of the properties is like just kind of turns up a dud. You can't really write it off yet, though.
It will not be written off. I would say definitely will not earn a cell cam. I would say at that point, so right now I'm running out of SD card cameras. I have somewhere around 15 or 16 cell cams that will go out in the field with me. So that's assuming I can find 15 SD cameras to replace, and I think I will, especially between, out of state or, public land or whatever it is. I don't think that should be an issue, but at that point, I would be getting back some of my SD card inventory, like supply, if you will.
Right.
So I'll get a bunch of those cameras back, even though I'm about out right now, because a lot of those cameras will get replaced with cell cams. I'll still have a pile of regular cameras, so those kind of dud spots, maybe it's just a dud early season. I can think of a lot of spots that we have a ton of success that flat out stink at different times of the year.
Right.
That if I were to only go in there at that time of year for the first time ever, I'd be like, this place sucks.
Yep.
Fortunately, we've learned those lessons, and that will be my justification for leaving a camera there.
Yeah, a non-cell. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I figured you'd say. Somebody listening didn't want them to think we would just scrap it, because we know that that's going to change.
Right.
Could change.
Yeah.
Ideally, I guess with that strategy, you just go to one of these non-cell properties and stumble across like the deer, and you can just focus a ton of effort on that.
Right.
That's the ideal situation.
Yeah.
Start spiderwebbing cameras and
I know last night when I was loading up the backpack again,
we've had cameos before. If you want.
Well, I was gonna say I'm waiting on a very important text that I hope to get during this podcast here. News on a property, maybe.
Ooh.
But where was I going with that? Oh, loading up the backpack last night, loading up the last few SD cameras. So today I had the thought in the back of my head pretty much all day of just ordering maybe 3 more.
Yeah.
Just to have, because I also, this is aside from this strategy, I also love to just put cameras in spots that I don't necessarily think they'd be good, but maybe just don't have enough reason to really focus on them much. Whether that be just a distance thing or whatever it is, or just lack of experience with that area, I like to put cameras in spots and just let them sit. Like, not really worry about them. Don't even think about them. Almost like an investment.
Yeah. You very much have to have like the investment mindset doing that, because like I've caught myself in the past with that, being like, oh, I want to go put this out and sit there. I don't want to wait, months for. Go put it out. You're going to forget about it in like 2 days. And before you know it, 3 months passed. And you'll be stoked. I got this camera. I'm so glad I put that out.
Yeah. Assuming it works, you will be super excited to go check that camera and potentially learn something that the following year you could, follow up on if it's worthy.
Yeah. What are, like, do you have a non-cell, I should say a cheaper non-cell that you would recommend to people that are maybe doing or plan on doing that similar strategy? Is there one that's better than the others?
Maybe not something that I can vouch as being super reputable yet. I just bought a bunch of the muddy, I don't even know what they are, like T100s or something like that. I think it's 100 something. I bought a 3-pack of them for $90, so essentially $30 a camera.
Wow.
Which isn't bad. If you read the reviews, it's with anything. Like, literally anything you want to buy. It could be the best thing in the world, and there's going to be some bad reviews. So I kind of tried to put that aside, especially when you're considering spending $30 a camera instead of whatever it is, $120.
Well, most of the time, too, with reviews, like, the guys that love them and have had great experiences probably don't go out of their way to get on there and be like, this is the best thing ever. Exactly. It's always the people that had a bad experience.
Yeah. So I saw a few that were like, I bought this 3-pack and 2 of them worked, or 1 of them worked, or whatever it is. So I bought those, which I don't know the whole backstory behind it. So the wild view cameras, which are generally, somewhere between, if you get a good deal on them, like $20 to $30 a camera. I had 3 of those. That was one of the 3 that got stolen last year. So I'm down to 2 of those, and those have run flawlessly. Like, you're not going to get a picture like a Wise Eye would send you, and that's fine. Like, that's not really my goal. If I can identify, like, that's a really good deer, that's all I need. So those cameras are, if you put them side by side, identical. Like, the controls are the same, the battery is the same. It's the same exact camera. So I believe the Wild Views are sold by Stealth Cam and manufactured by Stealth Cam.
That's always what I thought.
And I believe those 3 now, Stealth Cam, Muddy, and Wild View are all like the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've had Stealth Cams in the past, had some luck with some, and not so much luck with others. It's a crapshoot, but
with the Muddies, $30 a pop, even if they last you a couple seasons,
sure,
like worth it.
Yeah, especially when some of the spots that I'll have some of them on will be public, and like last year, they get stolen, unfortunately. But it's easier to swallow when it's a $30 camera than a $100 camera.
For sure. Absolutely. What is I don't know if we've ever talked about this. What is the rule on public land? I'm sure it varies, but if you stumble across someone's camera, can't you legally check the card? Obviously, stealing it is theft, but
as far as I'm aware, I suppose you could. I personally have never. I talk to a lot of guys on public land that say, if I see a camera, I'll check it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any rule against it necessarily, because on public land, it's not really owned by it is, but it isn't.
That's what guys will say about hunting people's stand too. It's like I don't think technically you're even most of the time allowed to leave it, or you're supposed to take it, but if it's out there, you can hunt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never have either, but I've always been curious, because that same thing I've heard guys say, just check it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Not that the thought crosses my mind of checking it, but when you walk past someone's camera on public, you just naturally I want to know what they have on it.
Yeah.
You don't have a camera there. What's here?
Yeah. I've seen guys on like different Facebook groups, they'll post a picture of they got a guy, walking to the camera, waving or whatever, and they can tell they open it and shut it off and probably check the camera and come back and the card's still there, and they'll be like, hey, just wanted to say, thank you for not stealing this. You did the right thing. So I'd say most people would be thrilled that you just looked at it and didn't,
Yeah. Yeah. The craziest one was that camera I walked by and waved at, and then it was months later, somebody texted me a picture of me and said, hey, is this you? Which was fine. It was just me waving. Beyond that, literally it was like 3 minutes later, a really solid buck was coming out from the same direction I was going.
Which you guys would have had to have bumped that deer.
And that's what he was asking
right
me.
Past the camera.
Yeah, that's what he asked. He goes, "Did you bump a pretty good deer while you were in there?" I was like, "Not that I'm aware of." We hunted like probably close to a mile from that camera. We were maybe halfway in. But yeah, it was a really good deer.
I forgot all about that.
That's cool.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think that's a very well thought out and planned strategy. And you get the aspect that we talked about a little bit last week of checking a non-sell. You get that dopamine rush or that high for at least a check.
A lot of it had to do with not wanting to start spending $13, per month per camera. When you're talking that many cameras, it's like, to do that in July is rough. At least if you start them, say beginning of September, like, okay, you're going to be able to hunt that month. So it's fine. And the deer are big enough that you can tell not that they aren't right now in mid-July, but yeah, I just didn't quite want to start spending the money yet. But then also the biggest thing was just getting started on making that loop, if you will, getting cameras out earlier than normal, because it's hard to get everywhere.
Yes. Yep.
It's hard.
Especially, when you add a kid to the mix, you're so limited on time. And the evenings is when we usually get stuff done. So that's why I said the strategic planning of that and keeping stuff in your truck, like that's probably something that's overlooked. Like, it sounds so simple when you describe it, but it's overlooked, I'm sure, by many. I know for years, the same thing. I've been trying to keep stuff in my truck now, but oh man, I wish I had this out here. I'm already out here. Oh, why didn't I think of that? It's like,
sure,
take 5 minutes, think about what you need, get it in your truck, store it away somewhere, and you'll remember you have it when you drive past that property, or you're a couple roads over. You'll remember.
Yeah, especially when you're driving. I drive 40 minutes every day to work and to and from. So if you had a property, say around where you worked, all of a sudden you get there and it's like, oh, I don't have that stuff with me, but there's a property over here. Too bad. I could have done that today, but instead I'd have to drive 40 minutes back home, grab the stuff, 40 minutes back here for the second time today, and it's just not feasible.
Yep. I kind of did that same thing last week with the planning. I printed off just a stack of permission slips because a few of the properties that I locked up for this year I didn't have, which we'll talk about here, but I didn't have the slips with me. I'm like, I'm going to gotta run back out here, which I would anyway to hang cameras and stuff, but I thought I'm just going to keep these on hand. That way, if it comes up in conversation or whatever, we get it signed on the spot and I don't have to worry about dealing with that later down the road. So, yep. What do they say? Planning, perfect planning, or perfect, I don't know.
I don't know, but all I know is it feels really good to have, not that everything is done yet, but like once it is, it feels really good. Like you've touched bases with landowners and checked in, and you don't feel like you're just showing up to, hey, I'm here to hang my cameras for the year. Like, you've checked in with them, talked to them, communicated everything. Cameras are all set. You're going to be able to make that next trip out with cell cams. At that point, hopefully locate, a few really good deer, have cell cams out, sit back and relax and wait till September, whatever it is, 27th.
There's an element with stress with a lot of things in life when you don't execute or you procrastinate. Like, I've been guilty the last few seasons of just like, it's June. We got tons of time. And just the way life is when you start getting older, it's like you don't. Mm-hmm. So if you got a free second or you're thinking about it, just get it done, because like you said, there's an element of just kind of being free, of just like, okay, I've done what I need to do. Now it's just time to hunt.
Right.
Yeah. That's cool. I hope that works out. And the more cameras you get out, numbers game, ultimately, hopefully.
Better your odds are. At this point, that is kind of what I've defaulted to, is like a couple properties haven't produced. So as many properties, as many cameras, locations, that's essentially where I've gotten.
Yeah. Smart. All right, let's go into well, I guess while we're talking about properties, I'll just briefly touch on my strategy. It's just been door knocking and trying to gain new access, because we've lost it's probably not as much as we think, but it feels like we've lost a ton of properties.
Of the property that you lost.
Probably, yeah. And there's been other ones in like recent-ish years, but yeah, we lost by far the best property we ever hunted, ever had access to. I would go as far, and this is going to be a bold statement, as saying it's one of the best deer hunting properties in this county. The way it sets up, Well, maybe before the whole timber operation. But yeah, very, very blessed to have been able to hunt that property. Feel very fortunate. Took some really good deer off of it. But yeah, lost that. So it was kind of like, we still have other properties, but you just very much, when you spend as much time as we did there, and then that's just removed from the equation, yeah, you have a couple other pieces to fall back on, but the biggest one is 50 acres, 60 acres, and other guys hunt it, and it's just like, you need more.
That, and I was going to say some of the other properties that we still have access to, we've seen a massive deterioration in quality of those properties. Some of which we've taken good deer off of, but over the last 3 years or more recent years, a lot has changed on them. So yeah, our access is still there, but as far as the ability to hunt quality deer on them, it's bleak.
Yes, very much so. So I guess what I started doing was, like, I drive around a lot for work. I'm always on X. If I see like a buck or even just deer in a field, like, I'm dropping a pin, just a random red pin. And then I would like canvas in the evenings around that and find properties that to me just looked like overlooked or maybe conducive for good access and hunting. And I'd put like a white pin. And then I would just go and find those landowners and start knocking. Gotten a lot of no contacts, which is just the name of the game when it comes to that, but have gotten a couple properties out of that. One is really, really small, but the lady had said, she was like, I've never been asked. And that was like really refreshing to hear. It makes sense that she's never been at based on like the location and stuff, but still, it just, sometimes it seems like, man, like every property has got a tree stand on it. That's not the case, especially those little like small slivers, but it just feels that way. So that was refreshing. And that was the same thing, like an area I just had a white pin on that I thought, this is like close to some good looking stuff. Maybe it's overlooked, and it was. So that's nice. And then, had got a piece closer to the house here, which is, ideally you have that in your pocket just from once again, a time standpoint, just like stacking as many places that are within, a 10, 20 mile radius, just so you can get those quick hunts before or after work. So that was really nice. Nobody's hunted it in a long time, which also shocked me. It was kind of a situation where like two brothers own the property, and the one passed away, and he like wouldn't allow hunting permission. He's now passed, and the other brother is all for it. And just kind of like timing, which I've realized with gaining access, like the timing of sometimes like the situation that the landowner is in is very important. Yeah. And it can change. It's like, just because it's a no 1 year doesn't mean it's a no forever. That's why it's important to, like, not that anyone would ever get rude or disgruntled with like being turned down, but just like always leave it on a good note, because stuff changes.
I can think of a property right now off the top of my head that we hunted together, that we hunted a big deer on it, and at that time we had access to the whole entire property. And since then, the owner passed away. I checked back in with the son of the original owner, and he kind of said, no, right now it's kind of up in the, I don't know if you want to say the courts or whatever, determining, how it's going to be split amongst the siblings. And he said to check back later. So yeah, it's very much dependent on the timing of what, season those landowners or landowner is in.
Yeah. Well, and probably the majority of the time in today's world, there's a change for the worse. Like, landowner gave you permission, passes away, goes to the kids, they parcel it off, sell it, and you lose access. But there is a flip side to that coin where that same event can happen, and now you can get access for whatever reason. So it's just important, I think, to always keep an open mind and revisit. It doesn't hurt. There's a property not far from here that I stop at like every year, and it's a no every year, but he tells me, he's like, check back next year. So I'm going to do it every year until I either get a yes or something changes.
Another property that comes to mind, similar situation. It was a no. I think year 2 was a no. And then last year you stopped back there on your way to meet Corey and I and checked back in, and it was a yeah. And I think a lot of that one had to do with kind of building trust with those landowners. They kind of got to know you more so than day one when you showed up on their doorstep and it's like, okay, who's this guy? You came back the second year, checked in, said, hey, whatever, it's still a no. Was it year 3 that you got the yes? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So building some rapport is definitely an aspect to that.
For sure, yeah. And And the sense of like persistence too, not in a way that you're being like pushy or like harassing them, but yeah, I think some people appreciate that. Like, man, like, this guy, he must be passionate about this clearly. So that's been my plan. It's worked out. I was just looking the other night, like I still have a bunch of pins that I haven't even visited yet that I need to get on. I almost wish sometimes, like when it comes to that, I had like an alert in my truck or something.
You're within 5 miles of it.
Yeah, hang a left here real quick, because I do forget some of those. That's why I was looking and I got frustrated with myself, because I was like, man, I was just out here 2 days ago. I totally forgot I had a pin on this piece. So I need to figure out maybe a little bit better system, but I'm hoping that, and then implementing a similar trail cam strategy. I don't have enough yet to, I don't think, warrant me to put non-cells on them, because like I said, only have a handful of properties. So I do have cell cameras now. Well, no, I don't on the small piece yet. I don't have anything on that one yet. But the bigger piece I got a cell cam on now, had a non-cell on it. Nothing showing up yet, but playing that waiting game. So
much of your strategy here this year has been a numbers game, but that in combination with an understanding that the big, beautiful farms on Onyx have likely already been targeted. So optimizing your time by targeting maybe overlooked properties. So you're trying to get as many locked down as possible, but to save time, avoiding the ones where it's like, okay, this beautiful 150 acre piece right off the side of the state route that has bucks in it every night probably isn't going to be worthy of my time.
Yeah, and I've tried to be careful with that. You're exactly right, but I've also tried to check myself with that. Like, I drove by one the other day that I had a pin on, and I've seen trucks parked there in November, so I'm like, people hunt it. But you don't always want to assume that, because of how stuff changes. So yeah, I drove past it and I didn't ask, and looking back I was like, dang it, Nick, because it's like sometimes those are the ones that you think you're never gonna get that end up panning out. It kind of like the one you just mentioned where it was a no. Like, I think a lot of people would have just been like, I'm not stopping again. So yeah, you're right, I've been trying to avoid those, but I probably should still just ask, just because the worst they're gonna say is no. But
I guess if there's no trade-off of, ask this one instead of that one, it probably makes sense to stop at the good one if you're not sacrificing stopping at another. But if it's one or the other, go with wherever you feel your odds are best. And I think in your thought process, it's go to this overlooked one that might have better access or whatever it is, probably a smaller parcel, a few other characteristics that you're looking for in these properties, because
right.
Your hit rate, I would venture to say, might be better.
Yeah, no, you're right. I've really tried to look at access more too. When I used to like door knock for permission, I never even considered that. But there's really some properties, not to say you can't, bump into some luck in November or whatever, but there's really some properties when you look at them, it's like, there's one I was looking at today. It's actually for sale and it looks sick. But looking at the access, it's like, they bed in here. There's it's just like a long rectangular piece, and there's a huge ag field. I'm like, they definitely bed in here. Just if you looked at it, it's all swampy, looks thick, just great. They're in there, probably heading to the ag. The road is on. It'd be like, I'm gonna probably butcher this, but the road would be, well, we'll just use this for an example. This sets up perfect. Like, access from the east, perfect. You get a lot of southwest winds, especially during season. You flip that around, like, this would be a terrible property. That's how this set up.
Yep.
And I was just like, man, there's deer in there for sure. You probably get pictures of some giants, but I don't know if your success rate would be any.
And depending on the size of that, they might be bedding right in there. Depending on proximity to that ag field, there would be no possible way to get between them and the destination food source that they'd be heading to. If it's, they would get up out of their bed and walk 100 yards, what are you going to do?
Right, exactly. And it's an ag country too, so it's, you'd blow them out of there. But I say all that to say I've been trying to look at access too when I'm going to some of these pieces, just because of time. Don't, maybe not waste my time on some piece that's like going to be impossible to try to get in there. So, but that's been pretty much it. Got some more to check off the list. I would like to get just like one more. I feel really good about what's there, but it seems like when the season rolls around, you're feeling good about what you got, and then you realize, like, this isn't enough.
A lot can change quick too. Like
Yeah.
1 minute you feel like you have a deer, and then I mean, literally takes one person getting lucky and shooting it when he crosses the property line, and you're back to square one.
Yep.
That you've just invested months into.
Yeah. I put a lot of weight on my shoulders too when it comes to permission, because like I love seeing my friends and family be successful, and like with Jake and Eli and stuff, like I love thinking about like Eli being able to get out there and have good, solid hunting experiences. And like, I don't know, I feel like if I don't lock some like good pieces up, he's not going to have that. So I put like a lot of pressure on myself too, of like, I have to be the person that makes sure there's places for us to hunt, because if not, like, we're not hunting.
Right. And it's crazy too to think about, like, you know, to get a youth interested, there needs to be some good experiences. And without access, I mean, fortunately, you guys, you know, have some land in the family that it's like they'll likely never have to deal with having no access.
Right.
But like the more you have, generally the more success you're going to find.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're exactly right. Yes. Feel very blessed to have that. But yeah, you just start thinking about like, if there's not a deer there you want to target, like you always need more, whether you have 10 acres or whether you have 1,000 acres. Like you don't necessarily need more, but you can always add more just in case.
Right.
If you're in the game that we're in, which is trying to find a quality deer to hunt. If you're out there, you know, just to shoot a deer, which is great, and that's what drives you, then you maybe don't. But you can never go wrong with more acres when you're looking for a big deer.
No. Yeah, that's spot on. Which could transition into the kind of the second thing that I'm doing this year, trying to find big deer, trying to come up with different ways to do so. So I will preface this by saying I've always liked kayaking. I used to fish a lot once I got real big into bow hunting. That very quickly took to the wayside. But utilizing water access is something that I want to do more. It's always been on my bucket list, and last year really solidified that with Corey.
You did it.
I did it, and it was like, that was freaking sweet. He took his John boat down to a spot that we hunt. It was a little fly.
Yeah, I was trying to get it.
Trying to get my latte there. Yeah, so we boated in and ended up killing a 8.5-year-old buck. Which, regardless of size, age, whatever, that was sweet.
I don't care if it's a 4-point. If you put it on a boat, that's freaking cool.
Right.
Take any trophy picture. If you put it on a boat on water, I don't know what it is, but it just does something for me.
So you trying to find new properties. Essentially, the goal of that is to maximize the amount of huntable area that you have, get away from other people, and essentially I'm doing the same thing by trying to find areas that I can access by water that maybe other guys aren't going to. Unfortunately, in Ohio, at least where we live, there's not much opportunity for that. So the amount of utilization I'll get out of the kayak may or may not be, what I anticipated. But for out-of-state hunting, and maybe if I'm able to venture to some different areas in Ohio that have more opportunity to do so, that's my goal. I kind of, going into buying the kayak, I told myself, like, you may not use it for hunting as much as you think you will. Is it still worth, purchasing? And to me, it was. Like,
absolutely. Especially, like, you're probably similar, but the older I get, the more I'm willing to spend decent chunks of money on something that's going to get me an experience, because I think about just life and doing it one time, and it's like, I want to do fun things, and that's like a really fun thing. So yeah, you might use it a couple times a year, but you're going to have some unforgettable experiences doing it. To me, that's well worth it.
Yeah. So I mean, regardless, like, we took my kayak out last year for duck hunting, and then this year for bow fishing. Like, I'll use it for that. I still make it out a couple times a summer to fish out of. I love taking kayaks out on rivers and fishing for smallmouth. So regardless, it'll be worth it. I did go with the new Canoe Unlimited. So it's a 12.5 foot. It's got a 650 pound weight capacity, which was huge for me. And I think the reason those kayaks are so popular among bow hunters. It's got a super wide open floor deck, if you will. So like everything goes right on top. If you kill a deer, it just goes right in there with you. It's not like you got like a cockpit that's what my previous kayak was like a sit-in kayak. This one sits way up high. It's super stable. It's like 3 feet wide. Also very heavy. But yeah, that was kind of my reasoning for going with that one.
Your odds of, and I'm more asking this for the listeners, like a sit-in kayak, they get kind of rocky. Like you can flip that if you get in a situation, right? This thing's like rock solid.
It can flip. It's tough to flip. There's videos of guys on YouTube literally standing with their tiptoes like on the side of it, and it's not flipping.
Wow.
Any kayak can flip. I guess any boat really could flip. But yeah, it's super stable. I've seen guys hunt with sit-in kayaks and do it really, really well. I mean, strap your bow to the front. It's all about having a good system, but generally with getting the deer out, they would then put a life jacket on the deer and just float it behind them. In this case, if I'm ever on a river or whatever that may be, if I have to go against current, that's not really an option. You're not probably going to have a lot of success dragging or towing a deer behind you against current. I'm not real sure if that'll ever become something that I run into. I've looked into putting a trolling motor on it, but at the same time, I'm kind of weighing those options.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just kind of building the kayak and how I want it. I've been getting ideas from other people, and we'll do a video on that, just kind of breaking down what I've done so far, what I think needs to be done moving forward. And then from there, I need to start finding spots.
Yes.
Which I've started to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's very limited to options here.
Well, once again, though, just broadening your horizon, and there are going to be places here, and there are going to be places in other parts of the country where that's going to allow you to get somewhere that your average Joe may not be able to. So that alone is worth it.
I always knew doors could be opened with water access, and then this past fall, like doing it, which was my first time doing it, and probably luck, but like going in there and killing a deer and having probably the best hunt we've ever had in that area ever.
Definitely.
It was just like, okay, this is something that we need to do more of.
And saving so much time and walking and energy too.
Sure. Yeah, it's a spot that we can walk to, and we have walked to. Another side of this could be optimizing best access. So sure, you can walk in, but maybe you're walking in from the worst possible direction with the prevailing wind or thermals or whatever that was. Generally with water access, you're going to get that thermal pulse. You're accessing from an area where if you can combine the thermal pull with prevailing wind, like you're setting yourself up really, really well.
Bulletproof.
Yeah.
And I'm very much someone that thinks that deer can adapt to pressure, or adapt's the wrong word. They get hip to what's going on. So if you're hunting some pressured public land and they're used to, Joe Schmo coming off the gravel road and you're coming in the back door, that's something they probably don't see very often, if ever. So you have that surprise element as well. And around here, the spot you checked out already, can you get to that by foot if you wanted to from somewhere else, or is boat the only option?
Private land is essentially the only option without water access. So yeah, and I did end up finding 3 tree stands in there. I don't know if I told you that.
You may have.
There was 3 stands in there, 2 of which were for sure, unused and super old. The one looked fresher. However, they're holding to their side of, that piece. And I would be accessing from the best possible side, like best for the wind. And then also I found some really juicy looking swamp white oaks. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And I walked basically all sides of that property, and that far other side has nothing on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you get a camera in there?
I have 2 in there, one on each side, and I want to either put a third in there on the good side, or pull the one from the far side over.
So both of your strategies are being actively utilized right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Another thing with the kayak, instead of a John boat, which I truthfully probably will still end up with a John boat at some point, and I missed an opportunity on a really good one. I decided not to pull the trigger because I don't have any place to store it. But the kayak thing is like you can get into some really skinny water with it. This particular spot is inaccessible by boat, but it's accessible by kayak because the water's so shallow and so narrow that it's just not an option to get a boat in there. So that was part of the reason with the kayak. You also limit yourself with a kayak. Like if you found a river, you're probably not going to be able to just zip upstream against current with a kayak real well without some type of pretty powerful motor.
So they both have their pros and cons.
And you're also talking like you can fit 2 guys on it very easily, like perfectly fine.
This thing's huge. I was shocked. Like when we went to pick it up, I thought, man, that thing is giant.
Yeah.
But if you're shooting a big 8.5-year-old deer, you need a big one.
Yeah, he tasted 8.5 too. So there's trade-offs with each. And I think just like saddles versus tree stands and everything else in hunting, everything has a best fit, tool for the job. Sometimes that would be a John boat. Sometimes it would be a kayak. Ideally, I can add both to my arsenal to use in the best fit situation.
Right.
But yeah, that'll come in due time.
Where'd you buy it again?
So my recommendation for people would be to go to Raccoon Creek Outfitters in Southern Ohio. They're, I believe, in Albany or close to Albany. They didn't have the color pattern that I was wanting. I'd called them for a few months, and they were looking at getting it, but it just got delayed basically.
You didn't want bright orange?
No, I didn't think neon green would be the best option for me. So we ended up going over to Marietta.
Okay,
and that was like Marietta Power Sports or Adventure Sports or something like that.
The wildest place.
It was pretty weird. Yeah.
We went up like 7 flights of stairs, it seemed like.
Yeah, and it was really hot up there, and then we carried the boat down the stairs. So I ended up making it to Raccoon Creek a couple weekends later, and those guys are awesome. Like, those guys are super legit. A lot of other people that have purchased new canoes for hunting have purchased them there. I know they'll be at the Mobile Hunter Expo. With a booth there, talking to them. They're more into the kayak fishing side of things, but we talked about the new canoes and how optimal they are for hunting and getting into some of these spots. And I actually recommended to them to go to that expo because they've been going up to Columbus for the deer and turkey or whatever you want to call it. And he said they already had a booth lined up, so that'll be cool. That'll be super cool to get to see their stuff there.
I was gonna say they might be missing out not marketing to hunters. I'm glad they're doing that because
that's what I told them, because a lot of their kayaks are very fishing oriented, like set up for fishing, not good hunting boats. But the new canoes, they market their kayaks for hunting, whether that be duck or deer or whatever it is. So that's what I told them. I was like, dude, there's a market out there for it. It's small but enthusiastic. Like the people that are about mobile hunting and whatever, like they're all about this.
Yeah, somebody's not buying a new canoe that's not like a killer. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not going to get your run-of-the-mill, go out on the weekends deer hunter that's probably
shooting like a whatever, Barnett crossbow.
Right.
Probably not. Yeah, so they'll be at that expo, which is cool. Those guys are super awesome. I ended up buying like just a paddle and some other accessories for the kayak from them. If I were to ever need another kayak or want another kayak, that's where I would go. I would totally recommend people to go there. They have demo models that you can take out on their river because they're also a canoe livery, so you can go there and paddle.
That's cool.
And if you want to test a kayak, they'll throw it in the water for you and let you try it.
That's really cool.
It's awesome.
Try before you buy. I like that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep. Huh. So I don't know. They have the U10, which is essentially like my Unlimited, but 10 foot instead of 12.5. That was another option. We looked at one where we bought mine because in that room, dude, it looked huge.
Looked giant.
And I was looking to you kind of like, I need some help here because that thing looks enormous. And it is. It's super heavy.
It seemed like one of those things where, like, if you went smaller, you'd always wish you went bigger. But if you went bigger, you're probably not going to be like, man, I wish I had less space.
Right. Yeah. And now that I'm kind of outfitting it and imagining how I'll have things set up, it'll be perfect. My biggest concern was my ability to maneuver it like outside of the water, like get it off my truck and get it to the water. So with that, it's like 80 some pounds, but it's an awkward, long, heavy 80 pounds. Like I can't budge the thing by myself.
It's a dense 80 pounds.
It is.
I remember when we carried it down those stairs, I was like,
yeah. And when you're hunting,
on the verge of tapping.
and that was like bare bones, just the seat and the kayak.
That's a good point.
That's not, the stuff I outfit it with, like the attachments. And then on top of that, you got your tree stand, boots, whatever gear you throw in it, your bow. That's a lot of stuff you're going to throw at least probably 30 pounds in it.
Yeah. You're going to save time probably getting to some of these spots by boat, but you're going to lose a little time like getting it on the water and getting all your gear loaded on it and situated, which you'll get a system down. But
yeah, that's what I've been trying to think of. Yeah, different things, and we'll go over that in the video that we put together of stuff that I've found necessary already. And then as we work through some of the kinks, as I start to get out in the woods with it, I did end up already buying a kayak cart, which seems to be a necessity.
So
if you're gonna have that.
Do you, this is probably a dumb question, put that like, is it on it already? Or do you have to like, when you get to your spot, assemble a cart and get it loaded on the cart by yourself? Or
it can come apart, so you can, basically it goes on the bottom of the cart. It's like it's like training wheels for underneath the kayak. So when you get to, wherever your spot is, put that up under the kayak and you can roll it straight to the water and then get it out from under there. If you want to disassemble it or need to disassemble it, you can throw it in the kayak and go.
That's nice.
And it is like a feather.
Oh, okay.
Holding the front of that kayak, because it pretty much sits right in the middle of the kayak. So you're holding basically nothing.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited for you. I think like if I had to pick, not that this would ever be a question somebody would pose, but like your favorite like hunting shot in like a film, I think it was Donnie Vincent, but his was not a new canoe, but like canoeing out a deer, specifically a buck, but with like the drone shot over the river, like following it. That is just
epic.
Yeah. Gives me chills thinking about.
I've always enjoyed people's videos. Like I can think the hunting public in Wisconsin, they'd always just canoe straight across the river and do that. That was always cool to me. Jacob Emery with DO3 Outdoors, whatever, has multiple videos on YouTube of just like, I don't know why it like fascinates me, but just like the thought of this microscopic access and minimal gear and whatever, and going in and killing a 150-inch buck and just throwing it on this kayak is maybe it's because it separates me so much from somebody else, like going the extra mile, and like if I saw a dude doing that, I'd be drooling over it.
Yes. I would be lying if I said I was not disappointed last year when I rolled into camp late and didn't get to be there to film that.
That was one of the
like I would have been in heaven holding the camera, documenting all that.
Yeah, I find as many excuses to show people. Not like it was not an impressive buck. It was like maybe 110 inches.
But for people that don't know or didn't listen, ancient public land deer.
Yeah. But like I find every excuse to show people just the picture of the deer in the boat with the the LED like glow lights and then the light bar on the front. It's like that is picture perfect.
Yes. Dang, we almost did it twice that weekend, but
we'll do it again.
Yeah. Oh
we'll
yeah.
do it again.
That's too cool, man. And like you said, I mean, you have other things you'll use it for, and it's so spacious. You and Abby just want to take it out or whatever for nothing hunting related. You can do that.
Yep.
Did the other one, is it 10.5? Is that the small
10.
one? 10?
Yep.
Is that, was there 2 seats on that, or could there be 2 seats?
There could be,
okay.
Yeah. So basically the beautiful thing about the new canoes, it has rail systems all across the kayak. So all of your attachments go right into that rail system. So I bought it's a bow/gun mount that'll be in the rail system. So basically you can slide or maneuver all those attachments wherever you want, as long as there's a rail there. And you can actually buy extra rails and mount them on the kayak wherever you want. So you can do lights, bow holders, paddle holders, whatever it is. You can buy additional seats and they mount right into that rail system. So I can slide my seat all the way to the front of the kayak, all the way to the back. I just have to buy additional seats if, I was going to take you on a ride.
Yeah, right.
We could do some aura farming.
Yeah. Yes. That's right. Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to get on the front end of that thing. And
Yeah.
What is that? Indonesia? What is that?
Maybe India. I don't know what it is, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, since you've sent me that, I've seen it pop up everywhere. But are you getting what is it, trail cam picture you're waiting on?
No, it was a response regarding that property.
That property.
That I was waiting on.
For permission?
Yeah.
I hope you get it.
Wow, it didn't sound good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I followed up on one up the road here, that guy that lives out of state, and said, hey, he's supposed to build a house on it. It's been like 5 years, and he still hasn't. So I checked in with him the other day. He's like, yeah.
Nice.
It's never panned out, but
right.
Like I said, just as many as you can stack up.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
that's the name of the game.
Trail cameras, gaining access, getting access by water or through water from Kayak. That's our plans for this year, and who knows what else we'll throw in that fire. Yeah. Gosh, July, 16th?
15th, 16th, 16th.
Yeah. Which is crazy because our out-of-state, like our first trip, will probably be, so we'll be hunting here in like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild to think about.
Yep.
So there's some deer that look pretty far along, so.
Right.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yep.
Shooting good. At least I am. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm shooting good. I feel good.
So speaking of that, I had mentioned on the last podcast that I was going to shoot some bows. I did buy a bow.
You did?
Yeah. I went with the lift.
Dude, you got
just
one.
for fun. Yeah.
I
don't know. I've never owned a Matthews. I've shot a few. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
It's gonna go.
It should.
I can't think of anybody that has anything bad to say. I feel like their branding and their marketing, and they're just like well put together, and yeah, I'm sure you're gonna love it.
It's a good bow. Yeah, I don't know. We have always kind of strayed towards the less popular thing. I think in this case, the popularity is a good thing. It means that it's a quality product. I love their branding, whatever. The bow, most importantly, shot really well. I've always loved my PSEs, continue to really like those bows, and it'll be an adjustment for me. Like when I was shooting that bow, it jumped on me a little bit, which I didn't realize. Like the let off was 85%. So like, that sounds to me, not being a bow wizard, like, oh, that's the same as my PSE. But the valley isn't as, I don't know if you want to say deep. So like when you come back, that PSE really falls back into that valley. This one, the rollover is just kind of like whoop, and you're there. So
is that a good or a bad thing? What's the
probably a good thing as far as like making you keep back tension. To me, or being used to the PSE,
right?
I wasn't used to doing that. It wasn't in my muscle memory. So like I'll have to build that muscle memory. So I guess with the PSE, you tend to kind of ease up, which relaxing might be a good thing, but also like you're not keeping the back tension to follow through with your shot.
Yeah, that makes sense. You'll get used to it. Take some reps.
Yep.
What's 30?
So which that was the one thing that I didn't love. It's either a 29.5 or a 33.
33, that's right.
The PSE
31.
I thought it was a 31 too. I think we decided it was a 32.
Okay.
The one that I was shooting, which is the EVL.
Yeah.
So I considered going up to a 33, but the 33 seemed super long, which isn't a bad thing, but it's like a lot of the hunting that we do is tight quarters. Again, like throwing this thing in a kayak, whatever. It'll be fine. So I went with the 29.5. That was also Josh's recommendation. He said if you can fit into it, that's what I would do.
Especially for you always say it, you're not an archer. You're a bow hunter, and that's what you have your bow for, is to hunt. So lighter, I feel like, is better. Shorter is probably better for all of the things that go into being an aggressive deer hunter. So right. I think that's probably smart.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
You did it.
Excited. I did it. Yeah. I mean, they had marked them down because the new ones are coming out in sometime this fall. I don't know that they've decided, but they always release it sometime like September to December.
Did you get it in there like green?
No. So that was another thing. I didn't know. I liked the blacked out. Then they have the tan, which is cool, like the buckskin kind of color.
Their gray is kind of cool too.
The olive green, I went with the gray.
Nice. Yeah, I think the gray looks sweet.
And that's a new color for this year. So
nice.
That's not a color that they've had the previous bows in. We'll see.
When were you in there?
Monday.
Okay. I almost stopped yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to, but I thought maybe you were in there.
Yeah, no, Monday. So if anybody is looking for a used bow, I have a couple for sale.
Yeah.
Not really for sale, but a couple that I would sell.
Yeah, part ways with. I know, I do too. I got one in the bar. I'm like, what am
I love
hanging
having
on?
them. Like, I love just having them sit around. They've, sat in the boxes basically since then. I have 2 PSEs and then an old Hoyt.
Yeah.
The Hoyt Nitrum, now the Evo EVL for the PSE. And I don't remember I believe the one was either the Evo NXT or whatever bow was before that.
What would that have been? I don't remember. Yeah, part of me is like, just get rid of it. But the other part of me thinks of like being 70 one day and having like my first bow through my last bow. Because I kind of not regret, but I gave my Hoyt away to a buddy in college. He was trying to get into it. I'm like, I don't shoot this. It's just sitting in my house here. Like, man, it'd be kind of cool to look back and like see your progression over the years. I think Bill Winke or somebody just did that to look at like, holy cow, this is where these things started.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
I think one of the local guys that ended up doing the Whitetail Cribs, he had an episode, and I think he had his first bow as part of like a mount display.
That's cool.
Or maybe not part of a mount scene or whatever, but like in his trophy room, he kind of had it laying with his mounts, which was sweet.
That is.
And it was more of one of those old style, like
the whitetail or whatever.
Yeah, and I guess, 30 years from now, the current bows will probably look way different than what they will be at that time. But like right now, I'm guilty of looking at it and being like, it's a modern bow. I don't like, it's not that cool.
Right. Yeah. I've thought about that because I use Dad's Bear First Strike or whatever it is for bow fishing. I'm like, I'm beating the crap out of this thing. I should probably get a bow fishing bow and like put this on the wall somewhere. But yeah, well, I'm excited for you. That's cool.
I should have brought it.
Yeah, I'd like to shoot it. Yeah. What's your draw? 29?
I thought it was 28 and a half, and we determined it was 28, which I was surprised.
You're shrinking.
I think so.
Huh.
Yeah, it was nice, too, to be able to finally go up to 70 pounds because all of our PSEs, I think, have
60.
maxed out around like 64 for whatever reason.
Yeah, ours were at like 62 or something weird.
Something like that, which is super comfortable, and I'm a huge advocate for not trying to just max out your draw weight to brag about. Like, make it comfortable to wear when you're in either wearing so many layers, it's easy to draw, or if you're in a high stress, intense situation and you need to draw multiple times or whatever, like you can do so,
get it back
effortlessly. So yeah, I shot it somewhere around 74, 75 pounds. That was the demo model, and that was just what they had it set at. So I shot it a few times with that. Then the one that I ended up buying originally was at 72 or 73, and then we backed it down to like 68. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Was there anyone in there buying a crossbow when you were buying your compound? Not yet, probably.
No. Fortunately, there was nobody in there the whole time I was there, which was nice to just set it up with no rush, start to finish, tune it. That's the huge thing on those new Matthews is like the tuning on them super easy. I'm not going to try to explain it because I'll screw it up. But basically, yeah, it's like a turn of a screw on the top and bottom to adjust for your tune instead of messing with taking it apart and
that almost sells
shims and whatever.
Sells it by itself just doing that.
Super
that alone.
nice.
That's probably some of the things too where we were talking on the last podcast about like how much better can these things get. It's little like micro adjustment things like that make them
giving the people the opportunity to do it themselves with using an Allen wrench versus needing to take put the bow in a press and put a shim in or what. That's way beyond my capacity.
It's probably why a lot of people resort to crossbows because it's like you don't need to do anything.
Right.
Out of the box, ready to go, and you're set.
Yep.
Well, that's cool, man. Good deal. And you got plenty of time to shoot it and get comfortable before we roll. Well, I say plenty of time.
That's what I figured. Yeah. We were pushing this time next month, I'd be kind of frantic. But
well, it goes back to the planning thing. Like the guys that procrastinate doing this, and then when I was buying my recurve last year, the season was open, and the amount of people that were rolling in there buying crossbows was insane. But all those people that were doing that right now were probably like, oh, I'll get to it.
They weren't even thinking about deer hunting.
Well,
those types of people.
True.
Yeah. Deer hunting was not even on their mind. It was beer drinking and whatever else.
Yeah. Well, good, man. That's awesome. I'm hesitant to shoot it though because I'll probably be like,
you might like it.
I need one.
You might like it. What's your draw length? Is it 29?
29 and a half.
Is it really?
Yeah, I got long arms.
You had me by an inch and a half.
Yeah. Blessed.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. Dad's is like
Something crazy.
yeah, it's like 31 and some change or
He's
something
shooting
stupid.
bare shafts.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. Jake's trying to get me to buy a dirt bike, so
Dirt bike or a Matthews?
it's basically the same price. Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Really?
Mm-mm.
The ones I was looking at, we were talking, and I think it's Rick's Sporting Goods store.
Yes,
but
I thought of that today when I listened to that back, and you said Ricky's, and I'm like, I think it is Rick's, so he
Rick's.
wasn't far off. Like,
yeah, I think they were like 13
oh,
and some change.
yeah, these were 1,000.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Brand new lift.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. Which I swapped all my accessories over, so I didn't outfit
Yeah.
it with all new stuff. But
Yeah.
I like everything I'm shooting, so
Smart.
I didn't see any reason to change.
Yeah, good. Well, cool. I think I have anything else to you.
Nope.
I'm sure there's probably something. As soon as we wrap up here, we'll be like, dang it.
Mm-hmm.
Start it back. But
Yep.
thank you guys for joining us again. We're trying to stay consistent with this. And like Easton mentioned, we have some pretty cool videos kind of in the pipeline here. Had some recurve stuff coming out. Hope you guys are enjoying those. And then, yeah, some other stuff we won't spoil, but some cool review type videos. So be on the lookout for those. And we'll see you guys with our lattes next time.